Good evening, everybody, and hi once again, CK.
Good
And
evening. Yeah.
exciting series here. So, to everybody here, please do subscribe to both our channels. But having said that, I am very happy to have Jerian here with me for the series of videos that we intend to cover in this year on a monthly basis. And it's very exciting because it's all the red flags for businesses when they are on the path of growth. So, this January month, we intend to cover a very important topic because, especially, it's during this time of the year where Cherian is working with many of his clients in regards to this very topic, right? And the
Right.
topic is misalignment in organization structure, which fuels the growth in going ahead, right? And this is so important because it's the alignment between the team, especially the what do you say, the management team, the C levels or the HODs and the founders or the business owners. This alignment is so important, and I think this topic is going to really be very helpful for all your viewers. CK doesn't need introduction, but as someone who's going to be asking him questions, I'm going to just quickly tell you, put things in perspective when you are seeing this video about him, right? So he's got a huge followership on LinkedIn, completely organic. I have seen so many people come up to him in airports and places where they come and say that we follow you on LinkedIn. So hence, yes, he's got 10,000 plus followers. Very simple. This last year, he's got 2,500 new subscribers on his YouTube channel, 1 lakh views. Mind it, this is the key thing here, 1 lakh views, 1,000 shares of his videos be by others. That means he's the CK. You've got more advocates out there for you than anybody else, right? And there have been 150 comments done on his YouTube channel. There's a very big, beautiful blend between passion plus work, music, and business. It's a beautiful channel. You need to subscribe. So that's for CK. For all of you who do not know these statistics, I just had to take a minute and tell you that. So let's just quickly jump into the topic here. The most important thing, why is it so important at the beginning of the year, where most often with your clients you do this, right? What's it called, CK? It's called vision to reality work.
Vision to reality.
So why is it that so important, and why do you think it sets the tone for the year? Please, over to you.
Yeah, I've been working with entrepreneurs now for the last 15 years. Right? So my 15th year working with them, all kinds of industries, all kinds of shapes, all kinds of sizes, all kinds of stages. Some at the early stage, some at the growth stage, some at the, after 20 years of their journey. And while most entrepreneurs, founders, co-founders are always driven by that entrepreneurship bug, and they're always keen to expand, they want to grow, they want to take their business to the next level, right? The biggest struggle they always have is to get the next level team to align to what they're thinking. Right? And while the journey started, there would have been a set of people 3 years, 5 years into the journey, maybe only 50% of those people are still there. It's a totally new set of people. And given the kind of churn that happens with most entrepreneurs, that at any point of time, it's going to be a mix of new employees, some mid-term employees, and some long-term employees, right? So the entrepreneur remains the same, right? But the team composition is keeping on changing, right? The journey is changing. And what happens over a period of time, somewhere along the way, I think the misalignment starts. So quite often, around December, January is when I start telling my business owners, look, have you started thinking about next year? Have you started planning for next year? And this is how we normally do it in March, April, we just, I said, by then the damage is done, right? Have you started setting the tone today itself for what's going to happen 3 months, 4 months later, right? So you're really thinking through and planning in detail about the following financial year, right? And I think that's one common gap across. That's one common gap. Everybody starts the planning towards the end of the year. Just okay, this year we've done so much turnover. Next year we should get 30% growth, 40% growth. It doesn't happen like that, right? So that's one part of it. The second part of it is that quite often I ask the entrepreneur, what was your original vision for the business? And what is it now? Has it changed? And they said, no, yeah, it's changed, but it's never been sort of spelled out very clearly, right? And if I pick up 4 or 5 of the HODs or the departmental heads or and ask them what's the vision of organizations, most of them look blank, right? From HR to the sales head, they roughly know what the vision of the organization is, and they know it's there on the website, right? But it's not in their mind. It's not. So the vision of the founder and is not known or not internalized by the heads of departments and functional heads, then how are they going to drive that vision? So that is one huge gap that happens, right? Secondly, quite often when I ask the entrepreneurs, what's your vision? They said, we want to be a 100 crore company. And I tell them, look, that's not vision. 100 crores is not vision. That's your business goal. Right? But they don't get it, right? So I think a lot of effort of getting back to basics. That look, understand what a vision is all about. Vision is how you want the company to be positioned in the marketplace. How do you want it to be seen? Do you want to be seen differently from how it was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? And I think that's an exercise that gets the entire leadership team to start re-looking at the vision. That for the next couple of years, do we want to reset how we want to be seen in the marketplace? And how we ourselves see our organization in the marketplace and as employees, right? So I think that is a important exercise where the misalignment it comes to the surface, but because it comes to the surface, you can do something about it. And at least start getting what I call the core team. Core team could be the leadership team and the management team, 7, 8, 10 people, depending on the size of the organization, to all look at the same direction, right? Look, this is where we see our organization growing. And I think that is where our organization concept comes in. Look, I'm also part of the decision-making process. So this is a big thing. Lot of the core team or leadership team members are not empowered enough, right? They are only focusing on execution. They're only focusing on following the orders from the founders. Do this, do this, do this, do this. Right? They've never been involved in the strategy making. They've never been involved in the vision making. They've never been involved. They're more focused on the execution part, right? So, moment you start uplifting them and involving them in this whole exercise, I find that it changes the whole, the whole momentum and also the culture of the organization. Right? Founders realize that look, we've not given them a chance. They realize that we've never even got involved so far. So I think that's a starting point of change, right? Because this misalignment can be very costly, very, very costly. I think the amount of business impact it has, that one department is working in one direction, another department is working in one direction, customer experience goes out of the window. When there's a bad customer experience, every department is blaming the other department, or the product was bad, or the after sales service was bad, or this was bad, or that was bad. Nobody's taking ownership, right? Everybody's trying to pass the buck on to somebody else, right? So that's a cultural problem, right? Because they're not aligned. Each one is only looking at what my department is supposed to do, right? And I think leadership is all about however diverse your team is, get them all on the same page. When things are good, things are good. When things are bad, things are bad. But in both the stages, the teams need to be like, look, we are now going through a bad phase. How do we get out of this? That also needs alignment. So to me, this whole misalignment thing is a huge red flag. And I think I see it in more than 80-90% of the clients I have worked with in the last 15 years. Right? Larger corporates are slightly more structured. They've got larger teams, they've got more senior people. So even there is misalignment, but not to the extent that it happens in a smaller owner-driven firm. So which is why I felt this was a very, very important red flag.
No, absolutely. And especially because I come with 3 decades of experience working with founders. And I can, I've closely seen the challenges that they have faced. And now when I've started working with you and we've done these previous, videos of inclusive decision making culture and
Yeah.
things like that. The more I've got involved with these topics, is what I realized that these challenges, these red flags, which I have seen with the founders that I've worked with, majorly comes due to misalignment, alignment with the team, and things like that, right? Now, the second question which I want to address, and trust me, I could go on forever, but we'll try to keep it crisp
Thank you.
and clear. The second very important question is, CK, is that most often when we get into aligning this leadership team versus along with the management team, and when the work begins, it's a double-edged sword, right? In the process, you kind of identify the rock star team members also, and you also identify the ones who are actually pulling the our heavyweight in the system,
Correct.
right? So there, this misalignment, actually, when you start aligning it, what are the benefits that the tangible benefits a business sees once this alignment starts falling in place?
Tangible benefits are, I think, the fact that people start looking beyond their department of function. Right? If there's a customer experience problem, everybody knows, right from the sales over commitment to the product of service quality, or the kind of promise that we had, the marketing and brand promise that is being put in the marketplace, and the actual customer experience, right? The tangible benefit is the fact that because the teams are now more aligned, right? It becomes a little bit more of joint ownership. That look, if there's a bad customer experience, is because many of us have slipped in the process, not
Correct.
just one department, right? And I think that is when they start working together, saying, okay, look, how do we prevent this kind of thing from recurring again, right? Also, at the leadership level, they also start getting clear that, look, let us only focus on these 3 or 4 business goals, right? One could be around a customer experience, one could be around employee experience and culture, one could be around product and market strategy, one could be around profitability. So don't try to address too many things. Pick up 3 or 4 big business goals, right? And get the team members in, work on those goals, take ownership for it, with the founders providing the support. Okay, what management support do you require, right? Do you require resources? Do you require investment? Do you require manpower? Because those financial decisions only the founders can take. The team members may not have the empowerment to take that, right? So what happens is that founders are effectively building a strong first line and a second line leadership, which has a huge impact, a positive impact on the business going forward. Right? It may not have an immediate short-term impact, but moment the founders have a strong team who they can know, okay, this person is totally, I can depend on him, I can depend on her, I can depend on him, I can depend on her. They also know who they cannot depend on, like you said,
Correct.
right? So that also gets exposed, right? Unfortunately, through the exercise, a few people do get exposed. Their
Correct.
limitations do get exposed, and some decision has to be taken on that, right? Either spend more time developing that person, give them time, give them the input, give them the training, give them whatever is required. If after a long time they still don't shape up, then maybe they are not aligned to the growth path of this company, right? So that also those are also management decisions one has to take along the way. That everybody may not be part of the growth journey. Some may drop out along the way. Some may leave on their own. Some may be asked to leave because they're not moving at the same speed. Right? So I gave the example in one of the networking events. I said, look, the owners want to drive on fourth gear and fifth gear. The team is driving on the second gear.
Mm.
Right. So how will the car move on the fourth gear? Because the whole engine is not moving at the same pace. Right.
Mm.
So somebody's holding back. Somebody's got the handbrake on while the owner's trying to drive at full speed. So these are the misalignments and which have huge business impact, customer impact, repeat business impact, reference impact. So when you start quantifying that, uh, you also start losing people. We have very high attrition. A lot of time gets spent on trying to hire people, and the whole thing starts snowballing. And end of the day, the entrepreneur say, "Look, I planned for 40% growth. I achieved only 15% growth. There's a problem with my team. Problem is not with the team. Problem is the way the whole team has got aligned or misaligned.
Absolutely.
So it comes back to the founders finally, how they are able to see obvious misalignments.
Perfect. The one thing now, this is one question I would like to ask lastly, because 99.9% times I've seen with entrepreneurs and business owners, and especially funded startups, right? Because they, as a team, as a unit, they are very well aligned with their teams. And then the system gets fueled either by money or by a good set of customers. So once they are into the market, the acceleration begins, or once they are funded, the acceleration begins. That's when this, even an aligned team, kind of, gets jittery. Like everyone's all over the place, right? And the worst part is, as business leaders, even the founders are all over the place because they now suddenly put in from a, a regular car to a Formula One car. Now, in this fast, accelerated pace, what are a few tips that you would give to business leaders when it comes to aligning the team to grow at the same pace that the business is growing? Because now the customers are pulling them or the investors are pushing them. One of that is happening. How does the team align with the leadership team? What happens then?
No, I think this is where the founders need to be very transparent, you know, because they get pushed. They get pushed by the investors or the board that, we want this kind of growth or we want this kind of expansion. We want to go into 30 cities, 20 cities. You want to go into B cities. Now, the original team may not have been used to that kind of pace, right? That kind of pace of expansion, because suddenly the money is being pumped in and there's a pressure to expand exponentially, right? This is where the cracks start appearing because the team is not used to handling that kind of scale up, right? And scale up comes up with its own complexities, right? Technology complexities, people complexities, hiring complexities, and the compromises start happening there, right? In the hurry to get people, you end up compromising on people. You end up getting people from all kinds of organizations, right? And the whole culture, which was sort of just beginning to take shape, becomes a hodgepodge, total hodgepodge, right? And you have people from different kinds of backgrounds, different kinds of industry. They're all coming into they're sitting in one office, but each one of them has been trained in a different environment, right? Just resetting that whole employee engagement and employee culture, I think that becomes the most important part of it. And again, because of the rapid expansion, there'll be a whole set of new managers and leaders who come into the system from other industries and other companies, right? If enough effort doesn't go into getting them all on the same page, like I spoke about earlier in the vision to reality alignment, misalignment, this misalignment becomes bigger and bigger. And that's where the scale up starts, floundering, right? They might actually expand into multiple cities. They might expand into multiple services. They might expand into larger teams, scaling up from 100 employees to 500 employees. But not enough effort has gone into doing it in a structured way.
Absolutely.
So I think that's really what I would say, that, whatever scale up is required, do it in a structured, do it in a planned way. And everything has to be measured that, look, the people are going along with that journey. People are going along with that journey. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And to all the viewers for seeing this, please do share it with your connections. And between the two of us, we have 70 years plus of experience and a lot more to share, like these, which you can take and run with. So put your questions in the comments wherever you see these videos. And we would be, we would love to give you the answers, connect with you. And I think, CK, if we get a lot of questions and clarifications, we can do another round of a video like this. But thank you so much for your time. And let's keep coming back with these red flag series. Yep. Thank you.